This is going to be the launch that makes every previous buyer feel that they overpaid. Let's talk about this today. Guys, I'm back. And you can hear from my voice, I still didn't get my voice completely back yet, but I really don't want you to miss out on this because this time round we are actually going to do a review for the Lentor Central Residences that is launching very soon. As you're watching this video, I think in the next few days the check will be cutting off. If you appreciate my effort for making videos even though my voice is terrible, do me a favor by liking this video, and in return I'll show you a king cobra that slithered through my neighbor's house just a few days ago. And yes, that appeared in my neighbor's house. Not gonna lie, it's really quite scary. But jokes aside, if you are someone that has keen interest in buying a landed property, maybe not now, but maybe in the future, I have these two videos which features my boss, Mr. Ismail, sharing with us his property journey and his tips on buying and selling properties. So feel free to go check them out after finish watching this video. How this video is going to be done is number one, I'll be going through the project overview, rapid fire version, downsides of Lentor Central Residences, the expected pricing and my comments, site plan and floor plan breakdown. Last but not least, why Lentor Central Residences is worth your consideration as an investment property. Now, before we deep dive in, if you're new to buying a new launch or you're new to the Thomson East Coast Line or GFA harmonization, in order not to waste time, you can go check out the other videos after watching these because I've already repeated the GFA harmonization and also the Thomson East Coast Line on the Lentor Mansion video and the Norwood Grand video respectively. And if you have not subscribed to the channel already, please do so right now because in case you forget to watch those videos, the algorithm will still push you or prompt you to remind you to watch those videos because before you buy, these are things that you must know as a responsible property investor. Now, coming to the rapid fire project information, basically this is another development by Hong Leong and Gokoland which dominates the entire Lentor. So far, there's only one Hillock Green that is not under the Hong Leong Gokoland group. And so far, you have seen quality in most of the development, but we'll talk about that later. But basically, there are a total of 27 and 28 story building, 2 basement car park. The architect is P&T Consultants, the rest you can read it on your own. There are 484 parking lots and interestingly, there are 477 units, means there's more than one parking lot for each unit, which if you look back recently, the developments like Elta, they don't have 1:1 car park. But however, for this development, even though it's right opposite the MRT station and the shopping mall, they have more than enough reasons why not to build 1:1 car park, but they build more than one car park for each house, which to me is a plus. Expected completion date will be year 2028, leasehold starting from December 2023, and this development falls under the GFA harmonization. And just to repeat, if you don't know what is that, can go check out the Lentor Mansion video, which I actually did a full review of what it means by GFA harmonization because it was the first one. So if you want to compare the price around the Lentor, right, I think the better comparison will definitely be Lentor Mansion, and if you want to take a slightly further project, that will be Norwood Grand as well. So this development right now, they actually included CSC land, which previous development in Lentor, this under the Gokoland group didn't have. Location requires no introduction. You may have watched other videos about Lentor already, so I don't have to repeat. Basically, it's just opposite the mall. So next, we're going to talk about the downsides of Lentor Central Residences. Coming to the downsides, I don't even need to mention. You already know when people think of Lentor, it's always oversupply, oversupply, oversupply. And sometimes it really clouds the mind. You cannot think of anything else, whether the price is right or not. It's only oversupply. So potential price stagnation with 4 more plots coming up. The resale may take longer in future, or you may not even be able to sell at a good price or even with a profit because of the oversupply situation. And another one is for those people that are looking to buy a resale and or a new launch. Of course, you will say that, hey, I buy, there's no immediate rental income. I cannot stay, which we need to pay for rental first. So which leads me to the point when you're looking at this property to purchase, there's never a bad property. There's only a lousy entry point. I repeat, there's never a bad property. There's only a lousy entry point. Why? Because people always tell me that, oh, buy property is always about location, location, location. Ask yourself this question. Is Orchard Road a better location or Lim Chu Kang a better location? Will you invest in the Lim Chu Kang property? The answer is no, right? But if today, if you are buying the same size, the Orchard Road is asking for 10 mil, but you're only paying $1 for Lim Chu Kang, will you buy and invest? The answer is obviously a yes. So the question here is today, whether is the pricing correct or not? Because all these concerns will be the reason why a lot of people shut themselves out of this development just because they don't know the place well. And not knowing Lentor is very normal. Why? Because 10 years ago it was a forest. Unless you go there hiking lah. The only people that keep going there are the monkeys only. So you're not monkey, I'm not monkey. Why would you even know Lentor? However, if you're investing, right, we need to take away all the emotional factors factors that stops you from even considering. Because if you ask me if it checks all the boxes, familiarity of the area, right, is just an emotional factor which we need to ensure we remove it every time we're looking to invest, because buying properties should never be emotional. So on top of that, it's also not within 1 km to CHIJ and St. Nick's, and there's also a risk of future developments in Lentor selling cheaper than what you purchased. Now coming to the price matrix, first I'm going to share with you what is the starting prices for all the different unit types. At the end of this video, I'm going to share with you what's the comparison between Norwood Grand and Lentor Mansion to determine whether this is the right pricing and is it indeed the cheapest new launch in Lentor area thus far. For the 1 bedroom starts from $2,110 per square foot and 976K. The 1 plus study 1.225 million. 2 bedroom starts $1.389 million, 678 square foot. Sweet spot 786 square feet 2 plus study at $1.65 million, starting from 3 bed compact starts from 1.813. 3 bedroom starts from 1.816. I don't know why this price matrix here put 1.813, but I think it's really very close. So it's $1,985 per square foot. The 4 bedrooms starts at $2.368 million for 1184 square feet unit. And the biggest 4 bedroom will cost $2.867 million. And suddenly I'm a little bit too stunned to speak. Why? Because 2.368 million, if I never remember wrongly, is about the same starting price as Norwood Grand. Pretty close, maybe just 100k difference. Not bad. Cheap, right? What do you think? Let me know inside the comments what you think. But you are able to buy Lentor at close to Norwood Grand pricing. Okay, not saying Norwood Grand is expensive, but trust me, I told my wife, and I did my previous video in Norwood, I said personally, if I want to buy, I will consider buying the 4 bedroom because 1184 is really a sweet spot. And at 2.368 million for 4 bedroom, it's cheaper than the 3 bedroom compact in the recent launches. Not going to mention names, but they are also in the OCR, but you're basically paying 4 bedroom for the price of what people are paying for a 3 bedroom unit. But okay, let's not talk about what I think first. Let's leave it to the end before I get carried away. But I really a bit stunned by this. Let's come into the site plan. Interestingly, as usual, very wise of the developers to actually put the tennis court in front of the junction, which there's a traffic light over there. There's also a side gate that leads to the 2 sides of the green fingers as well. The main gate is actually a bit further, so I think it makes sense for you to actually cross the side gate to the MRT station. If you look at the orientation of this development, there's only block 20 that has the full view of the Hillock Park, and that is to me a premium view because like my house also has greenery views, and Singaporeans quite attracted to having greenery view. To us is a plus really because Singapore don't really have a lot of ocean so even you see view, you see a lot of vessels. And interestingly, Stack 13 is actually the 1184 square feet unit. I must bring my wife to go and see. There's also 2 bedroom plus study, which is Stack 14 and 15, and last but not least the big unit Stack 16 that is facing, as usual, the big units who have the most premium facing. But interestingly, this time around they're actually putting in a 2 plus study over there, which if you ask me, I recently got my client to buy a Nava Grove 2 bedroom plus study, and personally that is my favorite stack, even though a lot of agents will say that don't buy a 2 plus study, difficult to exit and whatnot. But I have more than enough proof to show to you that 2 bedroom plus study has its market and still can profit even though it's a plus study, because there are families that really don't need such a big room. It's mainly for a nursery, a work from home room, or just a storeroom for them to store their things, because Singapore average household size is only 3.0 something, so most families only got 3%. The 2 bedroom is actually enough. They just need a spare room / flexi room. So now they always worry because sometimes the front facing units may be facing the road and may be noisy. And you know, Singaporeans, we love fresh air, we don't like to turn on aircon. So face road cannot. Why? Because face road, then you hear the noise, a lot of dust, because you don't turn on aircon, if you know what I mean. But most people concerned will be the noise and also the dust as well, jokes aside. And let me just see what is the facing, because if I'm not wrong, the front facing is not facing a main road. So I'm gonna take you on my new helicopter. I will show you. Fly to the actual site and see. Okay, I stole this from Eric Chu. Eric Chu always say this. Since we cannot see on the helicopter, now we look at the master plan over here. So you can see Lentor Central Residences is none other than this plot over here. You can see by the side is actually the linear park, which is on green color. So it's important today when you're buying a property, don't just look at the map itself. Try to look at the master plan, because when you see the master plan, you are able to predict what is going to happen in the future over there. So when it's green color, most of the time it's actually reserved for nature nature. So there's a Hulot Park over here. One thing quite guarantee, there won't be any development by the side. So yes, those units that are actually right after the main entrance will not be having any main road facing. In fact, it's actually facing the park. Park facing is always deemed as premium facing, in my opinion, especially in the resale. The only ones that don't have such a premium view, and if you're on block 18 facing the pool, you actually have dual view, which is the pool plus the green finger, which is also a linear park that connects to the Hulot Park as well. Block 20 facing the pool, you'll be facing part of the road in the future development opposite. You'll be facing another residential plot, but however, there isn't any plot ratio there, so you don't know what it's going to be. But all this brown color plot will be residential, so you'll be expecting new homes opposite you, or maybe more constructions over there. So personally, if you ask me for own stay purpose or for investment purpose, if the price difference of the inner facing versus the outer facing isn't very significant, I will most likely advise to go for the south facing instead, because it's a more guaranteed view. And by the time you move into the unit, most of the development around there are almost near its completion already. However, if you're going for the north facing, you'll most likely be expecting more new construction moving forward. And talking about the site plan, we'll come back to this later, because once you open up this site plan, it raises a major red flag. Why? Because you see more supply. Why? Because if you know the master plan well, when you see a site from yellow color become brown color, means few years down the road, you start to see them demarcating and adding plot ratio, which is the time when it confirms there will be new development over there. So you can see an entire new township right after Tagore all the way to Springleaf area. This is going to be a beginning of a new township. However, there is this industrial over here, and I just went to check, Tagore is all freehold one. So if you expect these to move, no, you just need to accept that your house is right across the light industrial area. So that's all I have for the site map and the surrounding area in a nutshell. So to end things off on the site map, this is the entire site map of the Lentor collection. You can see that we are right across the shopping mall, which is to the right, Lentor MRT station. Right on top of it is actually Lentor Modern. So basically, you exit your side gate, cross the junction, walk into the MRT station, got aircon ready, then take the escalator down, walk a few hundred steps, and then you're at the MRT station without even breaking a sweat. As for the floor plan, I don't want this video to be a typical project review that talks about all the floor plan and all this. Like I say, on the pricing is more important than the floor plan itself, because before you buy, you surely have to see the floor plan, and we need to visit the showroom. So if you wish to go and visit the showroom, this is my number. Do contact me, or just to give a consultation on what you should be doing. Whether should you be even looking to buy a new launch or not, because some of the clients that I made for consult, eventually they didn't buy a new launch. They chose to go for a landed instead. Some of them, they met me for buying a landed. Eventually, they sell one, buy two, buy one, resale bigger unit to own stay, and then buy a new launch property as a 3 to 4 year flip. So it really depends on your family make. And in fact, after this, I'm going to pop on a phone call to one of my clients, which I told them, don't buy the landed, split into two properties, decouple the current property, don't sell. You shouldn't be even selling after understanding their situation. So do drop me a message, let me know your scenario. Happy to give you my advice. But if you want to know the floor plan, a link in the description. Go there and download for yourself. Any questions, drop me a message. Last but not least, why I personally will consider Lentor Central Residences, one of my top picks for this year. And as you know, I always advocate buy OCR. Why my first property, second property, third new launch, all OCR one. And all of them were profitable. Only CCR that I bought or closer to town. And thanks for all the messages. Some of you text me say my house very nice and you want to see, this is the video. Go check it out. Before we talk about the investment perspective, we first want to talk about the mind block, which is the oversupply concern. Why? Because a lot of people, they cannot find reconciliation for one downside. They write off all the good things, which if you ask me from an investment perspective, they work against you instead. Why? If you look at the Chinese word 危机, you always say 危机. Why? Because 有危才有机, which translates to English is always saying that when there's fear, there's opportunity. When there's fear, there's opportunity, because when there's fear, developer will know they make sure they price the property sensitively. In Lentor, selling cheaper than what you purchased. Coming to the exit strategy, having a lot of supply doesn't mean nobody will buy, because from the master plan, it's clear that Lentor Central Residences is surrounded by many landed properties. This means that the exit strategy for the Lentor cluster isn't limited to just HDB upgraders, but also includes landed homeowners looking to downsize. Additionally, many affluent families, like those staying in the landed properties, commonly purchase properties properties under their children's name to give them a head start in real estate ownership. So in terms of exit strategy, Lentor cluster certainly has its advantage. Before we talk about what I think about the pricing and whether it's worth investing, first we want to clear our mind block / concerns, right? Because many investors these days, when they are thinking of investing in property, they always say that whether I know this place well, or maybe one or two downsides will actually just make them fully write off the property just because there's oversupply and it's not within 1 km to goose. The right way is to find reconciliation on that and buy similar properties that share that same attribute, and whether were they profitable and whether was the market when you're trying to exit able to absorb the new pricing, your entry price plus profit. And if it does, it should clear all the concerns about this oversupply and whatnot, because numbers can tell you stories. Coming to oversupply is always a concern, and I have not repeated this enough. In Lentor Mansion video, I actually mentioned already, if you compare with areas like Cocoa Palms, Dairy Farm and whatnot, there were also tons of new condos launched at similar timing, and look at the performance. Were they profitable or not? The answer is yes. And the truth of the matter is today, people don't really worry there are too many houses around the area. In fact, when there's more people staying around the area, it will form a greater community and more opportunities for communal activities to happen as well. Not so many people these days want to stay in a very small development or area where there's not a lot of people. And it's proven time and time again that it still managed to be profitable. In fact, the first people that buy when there were not so many people actually proven to be the ones that make the most. But if you ask me, the more logical way is to look at the developments that are not within 1 km to the elite school. Were they profitable? Example for Claremont and Claremont Canopy, which is the most recent. I also did the Alta video, you want to go watch, also can, but make sure you finish this first because this booking is coming very soon. You want to make sure you know everything. If you look at Claremont Canopy and Claremont, right, they are both not within 1 km to Nanhua Primary School. Did they profit? The answer is yes. Did they profit a lot? Shitloads. 10% annualized profit. That means every year they make 10% on the investment. And they only pay 30% equity, which means that they make 30% returns on investment over 3 years, which equates to 100% return on equity on gross calculation. So if you disagree or agree, let me know inside the comments what you think. Happy to hear from you. If I need to do another video, definitely happy to do so. Next development can be selling cheaper. Why? Because earlier on in the video, I already say this development will make other developments feel that they overpaid already. But you need to know one thing over here. That is just the starting form price. You also don't know what will be the asking price for the other stacks at the other levels as well. So at face value, it looks cheaper. But today, as developers, they're all business people. They are all here to make a profit. And buying cheaper doesn't mean you will sell cheaper. More than enough instances these days that developers will sell higher. The most classic example are the people that waited all the way from Tembusu or Grand Diamond launch. They refused to buy because they're waiting for Emerald of Katong, because Emerald of Katong was being acquired at the lower price, and this is the table. Ended up, did they pay less or did they pay more? In fact, they actually paid more waiting for Emerald of Katong. But I'm not saying Emerald of Katong is not worth buying. My own client actually bought a 4-bedroom unit over there as well. Thank you to my client. You know who you are. You can buy. But back then, when Tembusu and all these things were launched, they were not ready. So did they make a mistake? No. But if you are someone that waited not to go into Grand Diamond or Tembusu and ended up paying more for Emerald of Katong, that is a classic case of FOMO. That means you worry that the next one will be cheaper. But if you forgotten one thing, your TDSR will always be lower the next year. So as mentioned, when you're looking at whether it's worth buying or not, we want to compare with comparable new launches. Comparable, I don't quite compare with resale and say this is expensive. Of course, it's going to be expensive if you're comparing your old and the new. If we use an apple-to-apple comparison, is obviously we'll be using Lentor Mansion as a comparison. We will use the 3-bedroom compact unit, which is 904 square feet. And you realize that the 904 square feet first floor unit, which is the cheapest, was transacted at $2,171 per square foot. If you compare with Lentor Central Residences, the 3-bedroom compact starts at 915 square feet. It is $1.813 million. If you compare with Lentor Mansion at 1.963 million, means to say the price is about, there's 150,000 difference. And for the 4-bedroom unit types, the cheapest unit for Lentor Mansion was $2.678 million, $2,182 per square foot, comparing with Lentor Central Residences starting from $2.368 million, PSF is $2,000 per square foot, which is a total difference in quantum by about 15%. It's about 300,000 difference getting in the same location and a 4-bedroom unit. But before you think that I'm telling you the 4-bedroom is too expensive, no lah. Why? Because the Lentor Mansion 4-bedroom actually floor plan wise is a bit different. Why? Because Lentor Mansion 4-bedroom actually comes with interconnecting toilet. That means one of the room is actually connected to the common bedroom, even though there's no junior master, but that also provides some convenience for the ones that are occupying the room. And that's Lentor Mansion. And what I'm trying to say here is the layout is different. Looking at the 2-bedroom units, let's scroll to look for 527 square feet 2-bedroom. In the context of Lentor Mansion, 527 square feet was a 2-bedroom. But if you ask me, it's comparable to the 1 plus study over here. So its total starting price is $1.225 million. Lentor Mansion, because it's actually a 527 square feet, it started from 1.154 million. So Lentor Mansion is cheaper by overall quantum by about 100k. However, PSF is pretty similar. And looking at the 2-bedroom, whether the pricing is correct pricing, look at the Lentor Mansion 2-bedroom 657 square feet at 2204 PSF, $1.447 million. The 2-bedroom 678 square feet in Lentor Central Residences is at $1.389 million, $2,050 per square foot, which is about $150 discount, working out to be about 7% cheaper than Lentor Mansion. As for the 1-bedroom, right, there isn't any 1-bedroom in Lentor Mansion. It started only from 2 bedrooms, so there's no other comparison. So we go take to 2 MRT station down, which is Norwood Grand. By the way, both projects are my project, like Lentor Mansion and Norwood Grand. I'm actually the chief for both projects. So don't ever think that I'm saying that they are not good. I think that they are good. I'm just using this as a comparison to compare price because I don't want to lose my job. But you take MRT down, 2 stops, you can look for the 1-bedroom over there at Norwood Grand, 495 square feet versus the 1-bedroom here is 463 square feet. The starting price on Lentor Central Residences 1-bedroom is $976,000 as opposed to Norwood Grand, the 1-bedroom was trading at $997,000. So you are 2 MRT stations ahead, but you are paying $20,000 less. So it's really a function of which area you like a bit more. Some people will believe in Woodlands because Norwood Grand, there are 5 good schools surrounding within 1 km and whatnot. There's a Woodlands story, there's a Lentor story. It just depends on which one and the time and space, whether were you ready. So a lot of people say, no lah, that time Norwood very cheap, I should have bought Norwood, but over already. My mother always tell me, don't cry over spilled milk. Your mother got teach you? I don't know, that's my mother tell me. Over means over liao. But we learn from mistake. And you see over here, 997 you didn't buy. And today it presents a renewed opportunity. And now you are able to get for 976. Is it worth considering? Let me know inside the comments. But looking at the PSF, right, Norwood Grand was at $2,014 per square foot compared to Lentor Central Residences at $2,110 per square foot. So is it actually cheaper? No lah. You're just buying a smaller space. But is it a renewed opportunity for those people that miss the $1 million quantum and refuse to buy a resale because there's really nothing much to buy? This is a new opportunity for you. And now if you look at the price over here, since we are on this slide, you can see that the Norwood Grand PSF launch was mainly about 2,000 or 1,009 plus per square foot. So it just tells you a story over here. Today, Lentor Central Residences, in terms of pricing, is certainly one of the best priced development. As for a very careful, cautious and kiasi, or sometimes I will call myself broke investor, right? I think this is an opportunity for those people that constantly think that you are being priced out. This may be the opportunity for you because you're actually buying Lentor as same price as Woodlands. So in summary, in my view, I think the price of this development certainly makes a lot of sense. For those that bought Lentor already, Norwood Grand, don't need to worry that this price is cheaper and did you get a bad deal? No. Why? Because each development presents its own unique value proposition. But in a nutshell, I think this development is worth considering. So I'm going to call my wife and get my checkbook now. So it's the end of the video. Like, comment, subscribe. See you in the next one. Bye.